Daniel Foothead, and I make animated music videos. I'm originally from rural New Zealand. Until recently, I was living in Tasmania. I'd been travelling there for a number of years and spending summers exploring the island, and eventually decided that Hobart would be a really good place to spend some time working on some things. So I rented a studio in somebody's back garden, and it was a really incredible place to work. I shot a few clips in Tasmania and the landscape there, and it was a really peaceful city. So about a month ago, I uprooted from Hobart, and I've made the shift to Southern California. When I got here, I bought myself an old 86 Toyota van, and I've set it up so that I can sleep in here, and the bed also folds into a desk, so it's a bit of an experiment in seeing if I can keep working and keep traveling and check out a new place while getting a few new projects done. I actually got into animation and music videos completely by accident. From about 2007, I'd started putting a lot of energy into drawing and painting, and I was starting to have a few shows in Australia. And I would adjust my lifestyle so that I had as much time as possible for drawing and painting so I could improve my skills. So usually I would spend my time hitchhiking and camping out in different places so that I could live cheap and I wouldn't have to work too many other jobs. And I'd been knocking about all over Australia for probably about 7 years when I got the call from Sam Christofsky, and he asked if I wanted to get involved in a clip he was doing for Opossum. And it just timed really well that a friend needed a van driven down to Sydney. I decided to drive down and see what was going on. So the Opossum video was a big experiment, really. I had a pretty limited understanding of animation from a couple of experiments I'd done at university. But basically, I just went for like a one frame after the other, one drawing at a time method, without much idea of how it would look. And we bought a bunch of Sharpies and some printer paper and got an old table from the Salvation Army that had a glass top that I could see through. And we just set that up as a light box, and I just went for it for about 5 or 6 days. And I was just completely blown away by seeing my drawings come alive in that manner. I think that's when I really fell in love with that process, and it became really addictive to put this energy into hundreds of drawings to watch it come to life. So the Opossum clip pulled in a lot more work with Sam, and I got the opportunity to refine the craft. I began to read up and research a lot about traditional hand-drawn animation, and slowly my timing improved, and I began to learn how to manipulate and have more control over the animations. And I got really excited by this like analog, on paper paint process. One of the great things about animating for music videos is that I get this amazing track as a baseline to riff off visually. It means that each time I can experiment with a new aesthetic or a new technique, and it gives me a lot of space to play and work things out. And it's really amazing to have a track that has a certain mood or atmosphere that can help me visualize a world that I can try and create. The clip that we did for the Ruby Suns, Desert of Pop, at the time I was really pumped up on Len Lai's animations, this really like painterly, raw, loose style. It feels very like wild and abandoned and free. So we worked on all of the line work first, and then just really let loose with acrylic paints, and even put all of the frames on the ground at the end and just like splattered and threw stuff all over them to really like grit them up and give them a lot of like a lot of noise and a lot of movement. And with the Commandy clip, I got to work on something that had a really different mood from a lot of the previous videos. Having mostly worked with psych bands, it was really amazing to have a different kind of sound. It was very atmospheric, and I could really visualize this vivid space whenever I listened to the music. And because I had a bit more of a budget to play with, it was really nice to go for like a bigger production kind of thing and have really elaborate, lush backgrounds and have someone helping me with storyboards to really like create this cinematic effect. I'm starting to experiment more lately with digital animation techniques, like working on a Wacom tablet and digital coloring. But I'm still a real sucker for the analog methods. I really love drawing direct to negative and working on paper. There's something really powerful about being able to work with a really limited amount of materials, and I could work on it almost anywhere. Like all I really needed was a stack of paper, some kind of light table, or just a window with the sun coming through, and I could create an animation. In recent years, I've had the opportunity to film a few of my own videos. The first project that I worked on, I was actually traveling in India at the time the band hit me up. So I ended up working everything out pretty much on the fly. I was lucky to meet a few travelers who were really interested in helping me out, and we hiked up into the Himalayas and spent a couple of days like working on some makeshift costumes and shooting in and around the hills. And it was a really incredible experience. It's really nice to be able to work on something with a certain amount of spontaneity and have it all just work out. At the moment, I'm just starting to understand the challenges involved in living and working in a van. My intention is to get to know California and to try and make a few contacts in the US, and hopefully I can expand my animation work outside of New Zealand and Australia. I've just recently completed a clip for a band called the OCs, who are from California, and this is the one that I'll be showing you guys.
name's Georgia Lucy, and this is my bedroom. Come on in. This used to be the music room of an old school in the 70s called the Zoe School. That's Mount Wellington or Clunani, and we are in Ferntree. So in this room there used to be lots of percussion around the walls and a piano, and children would come here and learn how to play. And now it's my playroom, and this is where I make my art, or think about it anyway. I think about the alternative potential of perfunctory objects. I write lyrics for my band, All the Weathers and Power Nap. I make paper mache sculptures. It's my safe place, away from the city. And when I need a computer, I go down the pipeline track to town. These here are some orgasmatrons that were part of an installation that I did at UTAS Art School down in Hobart. So the idea was, if I could massage all my neighbours at once, how could I do that? And I figured out if you put 100 of them on a hills hoist, when you wind them up and down, everyone will be massaged at the same time. I video documented this, and that's when I started getting into filming. All right, the first memory I have of editing, or being part of the editing process, was with my mate, Colby Cannon. This is him. He lives in New York now, making films, and I was blessed to live with him in an old mechanics for a year called Medium Art Space, where we came up with this crazy idea for our birthdays that between the dates, the 4th of November and the 12th of November, we were going to shoot a sci-fi film. The plot being that we'd just lose the plot and invite all strangers of all walks of life to come in and just shoot anything sci-fi. So that involved 8 days of just losing our minds, going out onto different locations, using like shopping trolleys as dollies and prams and alfoil. It was on this project that I've never looked back on, the magic of the green screen. As you can see, I'm pretty dodgy at it, but that's all part of it. It's like when you see a puppet show and you're allowed to see the strings, you understand how the puppet works, and I think there's an art to that. I like exposing how things work. And nothing happened with that footage for 4 years because we ended up with just footage in all different formats, from phones, just videotapes, just heaps of sound, lots of bands recorded for it, and it was like 24 hours worth of footage. And then 4 years later, Colby invited me to Yamba, and I sat next to him and watched how editing is done, and I got to look at footage and see what I wanted to do with it, but I didn't yet have the skills to just do it. So I direct Colby of how to do it, and he'd just be wizard, eating tubs of ice cream, and just editing away and chopping it up, and we condense all this footage into 1 hour, and it's called Sci-Fi, 8 days in 2009. You can see it on the internet. After that, I went to uni and just learnt how to use Final Cut Pro for myself. I'm not a master of Final Cut Pro, the program, but you get better just by sitting there and fiddling around and cutting stuff up and shuffling the little cuts, which look like grains of rice, on a timeline. And you just shuffle them up and see where the footage fits best. You just have to start the project in order to finish it. So being in your own band is a bonus, and making your own songs is like a bonus because there's no pressure to make a clip. You could just do it and get your bandmates to do anything for you. Just get them all together at the same time and just muck around. And this song called You're in Trouble, I picked to make because it's really important to me, because it's a song about abortions in Tasmania. And I think film and song and any art form is a good tool to get messages out there that are important. Okay. One of my processes that I like to use is when I'm making films is just the toilet roll frame technique, because sometimes you get stuck for ideas, but if you walk around your world by just limiting what you can see and making a tunnel, you can hone in to tiny parts of your atmosphere, of your surroundings, and just focus in and frame things in a way so they're isolated. You get some really good footage to put behind green screens, just good textures to work with, just celebrating some crazy guy with a beer gut, like he's just there whippersnippering on the road and you're looking through your toilet roll frame and you've caught him and you can put him in a film clip. Here is a VHS camera that only works when it's plugged into the wall, which is a challenge, but I love a challenge. This was used to film Power Nap's film clip, Paranoid. We also had another VHS camera which only had half an hour's battery life, so when we went out to film with that one in public, we had to make sure we just get these shots right, or just get any shots worth editing, because we had to keep coming back and charging up the camera, which is why that film clip is just packed full of Hobart's icons and us misbehaving in them. Pack my bags in the way I run, well I've been drifting out of west, it was a setting sun, guess I'm a... Yes, I'm a... Recently, I've worked on some collaborations with film clips. So the Power Nap one, I sat there and edited over like 24 hours non-stop with Matt Leary, who's in the band as well. And we fought and fused our brains together to come up with that masterpiece. But recently, Treehouse were asked to make a film clip for their album, for a single called Hammer on the Door, and they didn't have much time. They had a 2-week turnaround, and Kim and I got together and just tried to pump something out that all the band members would be happy with, which was quite difficult, but we did it. And because the band Treehouse are just Hobart bunch of chillers and with genuine grins, that clip made it to Rage a week after it was put online. Yup, Hobart music, Hobart artists on the telly. It was screened live at the Brisbane Hotel while a funk band was playing. The TV was on mute, but still the TV had a bigger crowd supporting the clip. Yep, I'm stoked. And in the future, I'd like to be on Rage again. I've always wanted to be on Rage. The Naked film clip that you're about to see, I forged the fact that we were on Rage by inserting a picture of me at a rally protesting the cuts to the ABC, holding a Rage placard. Now, I don't know what's next on the horizon, but I'm certain that I will get a computer, so watch out.